Mark Pope done did it again here. Braydon Hawthorne is a Kentucky Wildcat, a great late ad in the class of 2025. This kid's been skyrocketing up the recruit rankings by every service, every single possible recruiting database in the last year. He's a Huntington, West Virginia kid, 6'8" wing, who only 175 pounds at 6'8", kind of a late bloomer, maybe really a late bloomer, but he's risen all the way up to 33rd nationally per 24/7 Sports, the 10th best small forward in the class of 2025, and a consensus four-star prospect. There was a lot of interest in Braydon Hawthorne late. He had Duke interest. He had, obviously, Kentucky interest. West Virginia was a serious option for Braydon Hawthorne. Michigan was sniffing around trying to get involved. And this is a kid who I think his upside is enormous. I think even who he is today is probably pretty far away from what he could be based on how much his game has grown in the last calendar year. And there aren't many programs in college basketball that are adding a player with this type of long-term upside in May, this late in a recruiting window here. So, what's your reaction here? Do you like this fit for Kentucky? And maybe more importantly, how big time is this from Mark Pope to get this ad done?
I like this ad a lot. I like this ad a lot, especially given the timing and I think what it's going to look like for him in this upcoming season. Because I mean, for me, look, I think there's all types of upsides with Braden Hawthorne, but the only thing is I don't see him contributing to this year's team at all. And I know that it seems like in today's day and age, red shirts aren't really a thing anymore, right? Like freshmen don't necessarily red shirt. But I do think Hawthorne is going to treat this year somewhat like a redshirt season, maybe. Like I think there's going to be a lot of developmental things. I think he's going to be benefit from being around the team, being around Coach Pope, being in the program, basically. And I think there's a lot of developmental things to go along his way because I think the length is there, the athleticism, everything. There's a lot of things to like about his game. You say he was listed at 175?
Yes.
He must have wore a very, very heavy t-shirt that day because I don't even know if he's 175 to be honest with you. He's got a lot to do as far as I think developing and changing his body, but I think there's clearly a prospect there. And like I said, I think him even being on the team this season, if he pops early, you play him and you feel great about it, right? If he doesn't, this is a year for development. This is a year for him to get better, a year for him to be in a college lifting program and all that comes with it. And then next season, you hope that he's a real big contributor for the team.
Okay, can I go there?
Sure.
This might be my favorite prospect on the Kentucky roster. I don't think that's all that crazy to even say as you go through this.
With Jaden Quaintance on the roster?
I get that Quaintance is further along and is good. I don't really want to flesh that out. Thanks for bringing that up. Kentucky fans know that I'm lower on that than mock boards, whatever.
I think Jaden Quaintance is younger than Braden Hawthorne.
First of all, Hawthorne. Can we please
Hawthorne.
respect his last name?
Sorry.
He's not like super old for his grade, is he?
No, but Quaintance is super young.
I don't think he's younger than Brandon Hawthorne. So okay, I think this is an old school classic John Beeline ad where he used to do this like once or twice a year. He would just sniff out a guy in the early summer that he found was wildly underrated by recruiting services that like only mid majors were after at a certain point. And usually those guys ended up turning into like awesome, phenomenal players. Now, some of them did not become like NBA guys. Some did, for what it's worth. This was the Karis LeVert ad. Karis LeVert just like appeared out of nowhere in the middle of the night, and 2 years later was an NBA guy. Um, Others like Muhammad Ali Abdul Rahman did not have nearly the NBA upside, but like became like starters in their upperclassmen seasons and like killers, some of the better players in the conference. That's what Beeline's whole model was built off of. Mark Pope clearly can play the Kentucky model. Let me spend a bunch of money and get veteran stars. But I think he also has some chops on the recruiting trail here of getting some guys that I don't know are just undervalued. This kid was an unranked player as little as 6 months ago in all services. 0 stars next to his name, nothing. He's a 6'8" wing with a 7'2" wingspan. You watch him, like I love him. I love everything about the flashes that he shows in his game. I don't think he's all that raw, even. I don't think you go from unranked to the 33rd ranked player per 24/7 in 6 months by not having some skill stuff to you, too. Now, do I think he's going to be like a huge part of the Kentucky rotation in year one? Probably not. But I would bet that he features more than expected here. And part of that might be how I feel about Kentucky wings, to be honest. And I don't want to shit on the roster because I like the roster. But if there was one position that like there's an opening for a kid off the bench to kind of just be better than expected and earn some minutes, it's on the wing. Like Otega Owe and Jalen Lowe going to play all the backcourt minutes. Jaden Quaintance and whatever the backup bigs you want, Brandon Garrison, Malachi Moreno, going to play all the center minutes. You've got a lot of options at the four between Mo Diabate, between Andre Yelovich, who we really like. Then you've got a gaping hole at the three that's going to be split up between Cam Williams and Colin Chandler, Trent Noah. Like, if this kid's just good, there's an opportunity for him. And I like him. I like him as a prospect, and I like him off tape based on what I've seen, arguably as much as I like anybody else that's going to factor into the small forward spot at Kentucky. So I think this is huge. I mean, Duke wanted him. A bunch of schools would have gladly taken him late. But he said, he commented part of why he chose Kentucky. He said he grew up a Kentucky fan, has a great relationship with Coach Pope. We've had many conversations about basketball and life. This means everything to me. This is just a Mark Pope ad through and through, and I applaud him for it.
The Mark Pope masterclass, the hoop talks, the life talks, everything. Look, I think there's a world where what you said happens. I guess I just look at him more as just like, oh, I don't think you could put him on a college floor. I think he's way too light in the
Oh,
ass.
I strongly disagree with that. I mean, this kid is 20 spots higher than both Michigan State incoming wings, who we have no problem putting in the rotation. Like he
Wait,
can play.
which Michigan State wings?
Cam Ward, Jordan Scott.
I don't know. Jordan Scott's gonna be in the rotation.
I mean, okay, he's 20 spots higher than Cam Ward, who we both think is going to be great.
He's
You
also
can't say
I
this
mean,
kid can't step on the floor. He's the 33rd best player in the class.
by some services, he's also like 80th on ESPN.
Okay, so he's a consensus top 80 player and he can't step on the floor? He's not the unranked kid he
We
was
haven't
6 years
seen
ago.
consensus top 80 guys not be able to step on the floor when their body's not ready.
He's got a 7'2" wingspan. Like,
He's
what are
also the
we
size
doing?
of a piece of paper.
No, he's not. You're
Yes, he
exaggerating.
is. He
No,
is
he's
so
not.
skinny. Dog, he's so skinny.
He's really not.
He is really skinny.
He's skinny. He's not that skinny.
I mean,
He's
look,
skinny because he has a 7'2" wingspan.
hey, like I said, if I would, you could be right. I'd be shocked
This
if
kid is
he.
9 spots lower than Jasper Johnson, 6 spots lower than Malachi Moreno, and you're saying he can't even step on the floor.
I
Come
do
on.
not think he. I don't think. I'm not saying he can't. I'm saying I don't think he will.
The only reason he wouldn't step on the floor is if Kentucky was so good and so loaded that they didn't need him to. And I just don't think that's the case at the small forward position.
You think he's better than Williams and Chandler?
I think he's better than Trent Noah for sure.
Well, you don't got to go three deep at the wing.
I'm not a huge Cam Williams guy. So, but that's me. I don't think it's hard to beat a veteran role player for minutes if you have upside that Braydon Hawthorne does. Um, Colin Chandler, we'll see. He showed flashes last year. I would bet Braden Hawthorne's freshman season is more impressive than Colin Chandler's freshman season was.
That's not saying much.
Right. But that's a rotation player that steps on the floor.
Are we calling Colin Chandler a rotation player? How many minutes did he play?
I mean, he was playing a lot at the end of the season. Once injury set in.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. If injuries happen, then
He played 30 games, 10 minutes a game. It's absolutely a rotation player.
okay.
But again, he stunk in those minutes, like, which is why I think Braden Hawthorne has an opportunity here because the guys ahead of him at his position leave much to be desired. In fact, I think like if Kentucky hits the way Kentucky fans seem to think their roster is going to hit, to me, the mix of small forwards I keep mentioning, Williams, Chandler, and Noah probably don't factor in at all. You're probably like moving pieces around that gets Mo Diabate at the three, Denzel Aberdeen at the two, Otega Owe at the three. If you move pieces around, then you obviously don't need that group, and it becomes less of a need for Braden Hawthorne. But
Mhm.
just if we're doing like the spreadsheet style depth chart, I like where Braden Hawthorne has an opportunity at with the names ahead of him, is all I'm saying. And again, as you mentioned, this is more about a long term ad anyway. I think a couple of the KSR guys were like, getting a kid this good to sign up to be your 14th guy is a crazy accomplishment. And I think that's true.
100%. I agree.
He's also not the 14th guy, though. I want to go on record with that.
Yeah, it's maybe 13th.
Name the 12 then. You're going to struggle to name 12 for me, I guarantee it.
Low, Owe, Quaidnitz, Moreno, um, Diabate. Let's see who am I missing?
Aberdeen, Cam Williams,
Jasper
Garrison.
Johnson, Aberdeen, Cam Williams, Colin Chandler.
That's
Okay,
nine.
yeah, okay, yeah, maybe he's unless I'm missing somebody,
10,
maybe
10 right now would be, I guess
close.
10 would be Brandon Garrison or Cam Williams or Chandler. So 11 would be Trent Noah or Andre Yelovich.
I take Yelovich first. So yeah, maybe he's 12.
I'll bet better than 12.
How many minutes do you think he plays this season?
I bet he cracks 10 minutes a game this year.
That like fully healthy?
I mean, hard to project injury stuff. I'm not
Yeah.
intending to do
I
that, but
yeah.
I mean, last year Trent Noah and Colin Chandler both played double-digit minutes for Kentucky.
That's crazy. That's crazy. But that shows what happened to the damn team.
But I think those guys are in line for a role, is all I'm saying. And I think Braden Hawthorne can beat them for that role. If anything, this may be an ad that makes Trent Noah go the Travis Perry route.
I can see that.
Yeah, a little bit. All right. But Mark Pope learning you make these ads after the portal closes, right?
Yes.